Immersion is like an onion. The more layers there are, the more onion you get. Some games are shallots, not needing to be deep to be delectable. Those ones are neither niche or require specific tastes and moods. Think like a simple platformer or a visual novel. Others are like yellow onions. The layers just keep coming, like everything there is to enjoy about Elden Ring, or, in this case, Japan's Shadow Tower Abyss. At the time, graphics were between this and that. Said game sits right in between them. You see just enough to stay curious. Not unlike the first game. However, there's a lot more detail going on thanks to the improved hardware this release has at its disposal. Remember, because the game is titled Abyss, there gets to be a dark nothingness. And this time, there's more dark. The music's all ambient sounds, save for the different themes that play when you cross into other worlds. It's not consistently eerie like its predecessor, rather unnerving from the odd environment, until a low health pool ramps up the intensity. Then it's just terrifying. Another spooky season qualifier is the story. You're an armed guard that gets sacrificed to living ruins by an old man playing roles. Put him on your hit list now. Since you were only carrying so much ammo, surprise, you gotta fight guys with glowy eyes. Like a real survivor, you have to battle using every melee weapon you can get, until there's a good enough reason to blast, which you learn to watch for a lot. To make matters worse, your modern armor won't ever be as reliable as the magical gear scattered throughout the tower, and in this place you need all the defense you can get, as any encounter can spell a game over screen. The game being first person is immaculate because you get as close as you can to feeling what this is like. Unlike our typical From Software dungeon crawler, there isn't a shield you can get your hands on. Who needs to block when you get dismember anyway? Nope, no more jumping for you. No more sight for you. Is that your life? Yup, I'm taking that too. Whether you're successful depends on the direction you swing and the body part made contact with, as well as the health of your opponent. These mechanics urge you to plan how you will attack an enemy, making a productive encounter all the more satisfying. It's not just fighting that'll test you. You're gonna find a ton of weapons and armor, and managing them is the real challenge. In exchange for any piece of gear, you can interact with a sort of kiosk to restore your health and magic. Then you can spend your health at another to repair different equipment. If repairing isn't your goal, then you can sell your stuff to buy more powerful weaponry and protection. Once you've worked out your loadout, you'll see your stick figure have different icons that represent the types of arms you've equipped, rings included. Everything you equip determines the effectiveness of each type of attack you can do. This means you can slash attack an enemy with your dukes, break attack a monster with a reverse blade sword technique, or use a range on a staff to thrust attack an enemy while keeping a shorter weapon with a high pierce damage in your offhand for a little boost. The onion, it only grows deeper. Especially with the creativity of this game. Pathways warp, keys work like credit cards when they aren't the skulls of your enemies. Dear Gwen, what in Solaire's name is that? Outside of combat, the menus at your disposal take some learning to identify item details, but it's worth it if you want to go full Batman on the denizens of the tower. When you're not being a swordsman, you'll have to deplete your ammo and firearm condition. You won't have enough health to repair your cannons a lot of the time, so you'll want to keep some of the legendary Dorado's ashes for when you've prepared all of your other gear. During firefights, sticking to cover is a must like in any shooter, or King's Field like for that matter. When you have a very mobile or very distant target, you must consider whether dealing damage up close is worth the risk or even possible, making every shot count. See this guy? He's basically Patches, and he dropped me to my doom before I could get close, so the next time I saw him, I dropped his ass. There's a percentage next to the new areas menu option that tells you how much of it you completed. You want 100%, you're likely going for a second go around. Once you learn all the deeper mechanics, you'll have an easier time managing inventory and pushing through areas, which begs you to wreck every bully you've faced before. Spoiler alert, it's the same story, same mechanics, same areas, same enemies, you get the idea, after you start a new game plus. Either way, some secret walls are very easy to spot, teaching players new to the King's Field formula that they should be vigilant for new paths. If they don't retain that much, there are still a ton of approaches for going through this game, leaving contenders to love being themselves as they navigate through the oppressive tower. This isn't to say navigating is difficult, as you'll see a lot less corridors and literal maps on the walls telling you where you need to go. Just remember to keep your guard up since there's no shortage of pitfalls and jump scares to keep you on your toes. The more you play, the more you'll learn to bend the rules of what makes sense, keeping you in line with the overall vibe and pacing of the game. This includes your progress being measured by enemy count and treasures picked up. Every time you go further, the situation is slightly different, giving you even more reason to ask, what the fuck? It's easy to pass off older games it's not worth your time, but Shadow Tower Abyss makes it flat out painful. It forces the player to be fully invested in its mechanics whether they read the manual or not, which is in Japanese, thank you Reddit user, like many of its spiritual successors. It was innovative for its franchise, considerate for its players, and underrated to the point where it was only released in Japan. Bittersweet to say, this game is irrefutably S-class.
push it.
We may not be able to experience what its release was like, but we can learn from its creation and use it to push even further beyond what gaming is all about, and escape. Even if this one is mostly about, well, escape. Do you agree? Do you disagree? The floor was always and will always be yours, and Special Grade Gaming loves you for it. Be safe, be mindful, and be a badass. And we will see you next spooky season, or perhaps next season, more than likely next month, or maybe in a couple of weeks. Maybe a week. We'll see you soon. Thanks for everything.